Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Refinishing Furniture. If you're new here, hi, my name is Monica, and I am the founder of Girasol Vintage, where we turn forgotten furniture into fresh favorites. Whether you're refinishing furniture for your home or flipping for profit, you'll find tips, tools, and inspiration to make it happen. Let's get started. For this week's video, I will be refinishing this 9-drawer Kent coffee dresser. I originally got this dresser in New York at an estate sale, and my plan was to refinish it to sell it, but I ended up keeping it for my own bedroom. Now, typically, I begin all my furniture projects by deep cleaning, but this time I'm just dusting off the dresser because I will be stripping it to bare wood. Now, there are a lot of products out there for stripping furniture, but I have been using QCS by Stripwell for a few years and I really like this product. So that's what I'm going to be using to remove the finish off of this dresser. I like to saturate the surface really well to let the chemicals work through the finish. And while I let the product do its thing, I remove the doors so I can spray them with QCS while laying flat on the ground. As you can see, I was very much pregnant in this video, and that's why I made sure to wear a respirator and heavy-duty gloves, but this product is pretty safe. I'm going to begin the process of removing the finish, and there are several methods to do this. The instructions say to use fine steel wool to essentially scrub off the finish, but I find that it takes forever to do it that way, so I like using score pads to do this. This product works amazing with vintage furniture, but I tested it with paint and it worked wonderfully. As a matter of fact, I will be using it to strip my kitchen cabinets because I want to refinish them at some point in the near future. So let me know in the comments down below if you want me to show you how to do this whole process of stripping the paint off of cabinets and refinishing them all over again. Here's another close-up so you can see how easy it is to strip this finish off. After scrubbing, I just took a paper towel and cleaned off the remainder product. It is that easy, and I think it took me about 20 minutes to get the finish off the entire top. I'm gonna get started on the drawers, and I basically repeat the same process all over again. So sorry about the heavy breathing, but I was very pregnant, and wearing a mask made it 10 times worse. Once everything dried, I began the process of sanding, and you're probably thinking, why are you sanding if you already removed the finish? Well, I sand for two reasons. One is to make sure I don't have any leftover product from stripping, and two is to make sure I get rid of any superficial nicks or scratches. Sanding also opens up the wood pores to receive the stain, or in this case, the paint wash. For the curved areas, I hand sanded using a foam sanding block, but for the rest of the dresser and the drawers, I used my Surf Prep sander with a semi-firm sanding pad attached to it. Now, hubby typically doesn't make an appearance on any of my videos, but he helped me get the areas that were too hard for me because of my bump. So as you can see, I'm just going over the drawers. Now, one of the good things that I do like about this sander is that I can attach several different foams to it that are firm, semi-firm, and they help me with the curved edges of the drawers. But I will say you do not need to get such an expensive sander to get the job done. You can attach a foam sanding pad to your regular orbital sander and it will do the job just as good as this one. Once I was done sanding, I dusted off the dresser and it was time to apply the tan wash. I'm sure you've seen this paint before in some of my other videos. This is Algonquin by Fusion Mineral Paint. I used a mixture of 1 part paint to 3 parts water, but feel free to play around with the ratios to get your desired look. I like using a sponge applicator to apply the tan wash because I feel like it's less messy, but you can definitely use a brush too. So I figured I'd give you some important tips if you decide to do a paint wash on furniture. So let's start with temperature. If the temperature is too hot, the water in the paint wash is going to evaporate faster. So be aware of that and work in sections. This specific day, the temperature was lower than 75 degrees, so I did not have an issue with it drying too fast, and I was able to apply the entire paint wash on top without having to work in sections. If you decide to do more than one coat of paint wash, you're going to have to wait until it has fully dried, otherwise you'll end up smearing the paint particles and it will look blotchy. When wiping off the excess, neatly fold the paper towel or rag and wipe with the wood grain to avoid any weird patterns. Lastly, have a designated wide dry brush to blend any harsh patterns left behind by the rag or the paper towel. This last step just brings your work to a professional level and the paint wash looks more like a stain than a paint wash. For sure, getting this technique down was a little bit of a learning curve for me, but at this point, I've done it so much that I feel I can teach a master class on it. Lastly, with the help of my hubby, I went ahead and set up my spraying tent to top coat the drawers. I use a water-based poly and I applied 3 full coats for good measure. I also bought new pools, which you will see in the review. Let's take a look again at what this dresser looked like in the beginning. For sure, it needed a makeover, and I hope I did it justice. This is it for this week's video. Don't forget to show my channel some love, and I'll see you guys next week for another furniture flip. Bye-bye.